What if one conversation could teach you 4 things at once? How to price bridal makeup so it actually pays you for what you give? How to use AI to build a beauty brand and a website that actually books clients? How to turn a craft into a curriculum that opens a second revenue stream? And how to run a service business like the engineer you wish you had hired. That is the conversation in front of you today. My guest never picked a single lane. She trained as an engineer and leads team at a global company. She built a luxury bridal brand. She teaches the craft to other women. And she uses AI to build the kind of website and brand system most founders still pays agencies for. Today, she's going to walk us through how she does it. So this is the Build Your Own Podcast, all things business.
Welcome to Build Your Own Podcast. All things business, structure, strategy, scale. I'm Tricia. I help entrepreneurs build structurally sound businesses designed to last. Through expert insight and real conversation, we bring you clarity, strategy, and system for growth. Let's build.
My guest today is one of the most interesting I would say business owners I've come across in a long time. She's an engineer who leads team with Scrum at a global company. She is also a bridal makeup artist with more than 6 years experience in the work. She is a brand consultant for women building beauty businesses, and she uses AI fluently to build the things most small business owners assume require a developer or an agency. Yrvanie Lynch is an engineer by trade, and in her own words, an engineer for life. She has a master's degree in engineering in polymer and plastics engineering, and she works as a project manager and a Scrum Master, where she leads teams to deliver with structure and clarity. She is also the founder of YSJ Visage LLC, a luxury bridal makeup and beauty branding studio, where for more than 6 years, she has built a brand on precision and helped women feel fully themselves. Beauty and artistry, she serves as a coach and speaker who helps Christian women build the mindset and the system to walk into their purpose. Her 3 pillars are simple: beauty, business, and branding. Her engineering work has been published, including research on breathable composite material and on 3D printing with recycled plastics. She speaks at events for women in business and in faith. She built her own website and brand system with the AI tools most founders have not tried yet. Haitian by heritage and rooted in faith, she is exactly the kind of business owner this audience needs to learn from. I met Yrvanie at an event. I quickly knew that she belonged in this chair today. We talked and I went back to study her work. When I reached out and asked her if she would come in, she said yes immediately. Yrvanie, welcome to the Build Your Own Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Honestly, I feel very honored to be here, especially with the type of woman you are and the conversations that we had. So I'm excited to see how this day or this time flows.
Well, thank you. I'm very honored of having you because I feel like we connected the moment we met each other. And I knew there was something, but I had to follow up and reach back out and say, hey, can we connect? Because I felt there was something that we needed to talk about. And when we first met, we sat down on that couch. We probably talked for hours.
We were yapping.
But on the other end, it was a very powerful conversation. We learned about each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, she has a brilliant mind. And she's going to go far in life with everything that she has going on and with business. And you just had an intersect of beauty, engineering. You have that precision. And I said, people need to learn from that. So we will start today with our question with some data. As of 2024, women held just 15.4% of engineering occupation in the US. Most never get to the point engineering process as something other than part of a drawing. You earn a master's degree in engineering. You lead teams with Scrum. You also built a beauty business at Teaching Practice. The interesting thing about engineering is that you bring it all to the table. So across bridal work, the branding work, the teaching, what is the one engineering practice that does the most for you?
That's a great question. And the main reason why I went into engineering was because I knew that I was someone who wanted to solve complex process and some type of problems that was in this world. Like I thought about, I see all the things that are going on this earth. How do I solve it? And how do I get the mindset to solve it? And to me, engineering was the only path. Like, I don't think there's any time I would go back and say, I want to do a different degree. And I've always had a creative side as well. So I knew that there was going to be at one point a way for me to combine the two. Because engineering is hard, and you need to be able to overcome hard situations and come out on top. And that's kind of how I navigated through school. And so with that, I would say core principle within me of how do you solve complex problems? I think of entrepreneurs as people who say, what is this problem in this world that people can pay for?
Right. And
so that's something that I combine. And one of the things with beauty is, for me, it's not about changing a woman's face. Shout out to any other makeup artist that's really talented. I mean, I love the full beat glams. But I think where I feel the most purpose is when I can see people genuinely just feel comfortable and feel like they walked out feeling like themselves, but still elevated. And also when me doing classes, it's been more community building. I don't think it's just something where I'm like, oh, I'm just doing classes and you're learning how to do makeup, which yes, women want to come and they want to learn how to do makeup. But I make my classes in a way where I connect the women. I talk to them. I actually say, where are you guys from? I try to bring connections. You maybe have never met this person, but this is a great person to talk to. I've seen women who've never known each other and they actually help each other throughout the class to do makeup. And so, that's a skill that I feel like it may not come natural to other service providers, but I always think of everything with a purpose in mind and what do I want to solve? So yeah.
That's very interesting because the core concept of entrepreneurship is to be able to bring a solution to a problem, whether it's through product or services. And the mind of an engineer is built to solve problems. So you see the correlation there. And sometimes you don't think about it until someone actually says, oh, wow, that actually makes sense. So you're trained to learn to overcome some difficult issues.
Yep.
Well, that's good to know. Well, Black women own nearly 2.7 million businesses in the U.S. and are one of the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs in the country. With their numbers up to 40% from 2017 to today, that's according to the U.S. Census Bureau. You did not ask for permission to start your business. You just formalized YSJ Visage and into a real company with your name and your standard on it. When a beauty professional decides to formalize their work, what exactly has to be in place before the next paying client?
That's a great question because truthfully, when I started, I didn't know anything. Because I started, I've been doing my makeup since high school.
Wow.
And then 2020, around COVID, I was living with my wonderful, I would say, friends that I call my sisters. And then I just started doing makeup. But funny thing, I actually started making lip glosses. When them stimulus checks were coming in, I'm like, a business. And I was like, I love beauty and everything. So I started actually making lip glosses.
Wow.
At the in the kitchen, just, selling my lip glosses. I was getting sales here and there. And I was like, oh, well, I could do this and I could, implement with my makeup look. So then I started like doing my clients, which were my sisters at the time, and then trying my lip glosses on them. They were my testers. And then I started to realize like, oh, I really enjoy this. And I think it wasn't until, I would say it's about 2 years now since I've had my LLC. And it's forced me to actually think more about how do I actually want to operate? Because you can be a service provider and you're just focused on getting the clients. I think sometimes too, like in our culture, we can think about doing things under the table and not really standardizing or making it legal. But I realized the power of an LLC and being able to have write-offs, being able to like make sure my taxes are good, actually building business credit. And so I do think that for anyone who wants to be a service provider, it's like, how do you think beyond just your craft? And, yes, you maybe have the legal setup, but then how do you make sure that you're not a solopreneur? And that's been my main focus of how do I make this work without just me? Because also there's going to be a time where seasons will change and I don't want my business to completely fall off the face of this earth because I'm not the person behind the chair. So that's kind of what I would say if anyone is starting is, yes, get your legal papers and everything, start to build that and start to build business credit for sure, because that's really important. That's something I also did not realize, or, especially when you think about owing people money, is like knowing how to, knowing those standards, but also start to build a plan of like, what do you want to do that will start to make you money if you were not, like something happens to you or you want to take a break. Like, how are you going to make sure that this business works for you?
That's true. A lot of people don't even think about that. And that's the whole purpose of Build Your Own Podcast, because I want to bring light to entrepreneurs of different industries on how they need to formalize themselves through the legal pillar, 5 different pillars, because when I assess a business, that's what I do. I look into a business into different category: legal, financial, operational, organizational, and strategy, because you cannot tell me that you're about to start having strategy without you having legalized your business. And you telling me like as someone in a beauty business, you did not formalize until 2 years ago. And these are learning curves that you probably should have done so prior to. And like, imagine when you started in 2020 that you had legalized that, and then you would have had business credit even way before then.
Yep.
And probably be able to qualify for loans, qualify for so many different things now to expand and scale your business. And in the Black community, a lot of businesses don't even think about that.
That's very true. It's very much a more so like limited knowledge. And I think those are the things that I wish. Like, I know that my mom had that entrepreneur spirit within her. She started out actually doing like flowers. She was a florist. She was really successful. And my dad, in a general sense, he always has business ideas, but I've never had them sit down with me and say, this is how you actually start a business. This is how you legalize it. Like, these are lawyers you need to talk to. How do you do taxes? And so I think as I'm learning, I know that it's not just for me, but it's also for my future children, because I do think that we're all called to create, because God is a creator. And if we're created in his image, then we all have a gift to create something.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. We do need that a lot here. And if you feel like you are an entrepreneur that is struggling, you don't know where to start, reach out to info@buildyourown.com, and we'll be more than happy to assist you with the foundational work. We do not provide legal advice. We are not CPAs. However, we'll make sure that you have the proper documentation, the basic things that is needed for you to start that entrepreneurial journey and start thinking about business credit. So the trap most beauty entrepreneurs fall into, doing the work without the paper, like we were saying. The work pays today, the missing paperwork costs them later. So what is one legal protection beauty entrepreneurs skip when they end up paying later?
I definitely think, and also don't mind because I'm also learning as I'm going, but I definitely think the LLC is very mandatory. I know obviously like there's a lot of people who go for licensing and for various reasons. And I am not a licensed cosmetologist or an esthetician, but I also wanted to make sure that for me, I was legally protected. But I do think that as I'm thinking down the line, and also any other entrepreneur can think about this is like, having a holding company, because I kind of do different branches, and how do I protect my LLC, because technically somebody can go after that. So I think it starts there as like a first step. And then also speaking with the right people, like whether it's getting a lawyer to talk to you, and also having a CPA, making sure that, because us entrepreneurs, like especially beauty entrepreneurs, we get a lot of makeup. We buy a lot of things, and you need to retain your receipts. You need to be able to you can even write off your mileage that you're driving to clients. And so being able to track that, getting like QuickBooks, being able to say like, what do I need to write off? How can I protect myself? And how do I maximize the things that I'm spending? Like I put my lease under my LLC because that's a write-off. I use it for business, right? So I definitely think that was like a major step, because it actually started helping me learn how to use my expenses for my benefit.
And that's because you formalize it. You had an LLC. And talking about holding companies, I feel like a lot of people don't even think about that. And that's when you reach out to an attorney, because there's so much that goes behind it in order for you to have the right organizational structure for that. So you to know, okay, this is Yrvanie, and I am the brand, but under the brand, there's so many different other businesses. And how do they all have their own sense of protection while coexisting? And all of it funnels back to you as the person that is holding it. And oftentimes, like the person that is going to be the beneficiary of it, sometimes it's not even you, it's another company. So all of these legal languages, we have a recommendation for you for attorneys. So reach out if you need help for that, because that's important. As a makeup artist, your liability is even more. You're touching someone's face. You're most likely to get someone to say, if your work is not as good, I don't like it. Unsatisfied client.
Yep.
And have you ever encountered or heard of an instances where someone in the beauty industry have had trouble legally due to unsatisfied client, or client feel like they hurt them?
Well, I will say, by the grace of God, nothing has happened to me, and I plead the
it
blood
will
of
not
Jesus
in Jesus' name.
over my business continuously. But I've seen a lot of beauty entrepreneurs who have to go through where they have to collect clients' IDs. They get a lot of disputes, and most of the time, depending on where you have where you do your funding, you most likely will lose the dispute. So I start to realize that really any client, no matter how they're paying me, even if they like it, because there's been people who I've seen where I saw recently a makeup artist post this one lady who actually went to many different service providers under different names.
Oh, wow.
And was getting their services and would dispute. So basically she got all these free services. And so I understand why people kind of do like the whole ID part. What I started to realize, the importance of contracts. And even when they are also, booking with me, you are essentially signing a waiver. You are giving me rights. If you don't want to book with me, then don't book with me. But I realize even when I have another makeup artist going on a bridal trip with me, I have a contract, because you can be my friend. We're cool. We're close. But I think it's just the level of protection that we need, that if something were to happen, you can't come after me. And I realized it more and more, especially as I would say being a landlord taught me that, of having a very secure lease, so that whenever your tenants want to do that, because I've had more situations with interesting tenants, how do I protect myself? Because the law will not protect me. So I think now I've learned to apply, what does my lawyer talk to me about? How do I have a really strong lease? And think about, well, now what are some common things that can happen? Because I do ask a lot of my clients, any skin allergies, anything that is going on, and you do sign that contract, whether you pay attention or not, that I am not responsible for whatever happens. I do my due diligence, I sanitize, but I do have to protect myself as well. So that, I would say, other than LLC, contracts, because it does not matter. Even if my VA, I have a contract. So.
And that's what I was trying to get to.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, because I heard the LLC, and I know contract is another thing, because you don't do anything without a contract. And sometimes people think is when they're hiring that they need to have a contract. But whenever you are being hired, you need to have a contract between you and that person. So that person understands their liability and your liability, and like what is their protection and what is not protection. So everyone is clear, even if they don't read it, but they sign it. That's mean that it's a document that is enforceable in a court of law.
Yep, exactly.
So
nothing without a contract. And it's crazy. I just started that this year. And it's caused me to look more at my contracts, even when I'm getting hired and seeing, I'm at will. Like, really? Like, do I really want to sign this? I feel like I've never paid attention to contracts, as I'm like, wait, you really can be signing off a lot away if you do not pay attention. So I think no matter how close I am with somebody, there has to be something in place.
There's no friendship in business. As people, like, well, I'm a woman of God that does business. Like, when the Lord tells me to bless somebody, you can let that make known, but still let them understand this is this is the contract that is being signed. Even if it says like $0 but that person understand what it entails. You have to do that, because they will say at the end, oh no, you didn't tell me that. So many instances, like when per conversation, it does not work. Per contract written, per signed contract, that's what you're able to go back to. So thank you for saying that, to getting to the contract part, because a lot of makeup artists, I feel like they have the artistry. They're not trained for business. They just happen to fall into business because of their line of work, their creativity. And now they've had to learn about business along the way, because now they have like a business that is generating. Because if you're truly good as a makeup artist, I'm assuming that it's going to generate a lot of money. So what do you do with all of that cash?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And I attribute a lot to my best friend, because I remember she hired me to do a branding day with her for a VIP client. And she sent me a contract. I'm like, wait, I'm your best friend. And I said, no, this is your business. And I realized that you had to kind of create that boundary regardless. Like, even if I know, and maybe she knows like that I would never do anything, it showed me just the value of how much you should take your business serious, no matter who you're contracting or hiring. So I attribute a lot to her.
That's good to know. Well, wedding hair and makeup in the US now average around $982 per bride, with trial adding $1,500, not $1,500, $150 to $300. And that's adding traveling fee, $50 to $200 and more. The layers underneath the base price adds up very quickly, according to Zola. You are a bridal specialist and in a market with the same kind of service ranges from $100 to over thousands of dollars. So what goes into bridal makeup pricing that most artists never count?
The overhead fees. I am still learning this continuously and learning my pricing and also my pricing strategy. But one of the major mistakes that I gotten into was, I feel like because my heart is always wanting to serve and I love weddings because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is honoring God's covenant, I was undercharging a lot continuously. I remember my first wedding, I had no contract, and she went from 6 bridesmaids to 13 people that day. And it was a 2-day wedding. So I had ultimately basically almost 30 people 2 days that I did not account for with none of my materials or anything. And I started to realize, Yeah, I mean, I think at the point I was maybe like $90 a person. You can say like, oh, that's a lot of people. You made a lot of money. But if I knew how to price, I would have made a lot more, where it would have felt a lot more worth it on my back, on my feet. And just overall, because I was so drained and I had to hire help. And so I am constantly updating my pricing strategy. But what I started to realize is I need to account for my overhead fees, because it's not just about, oh, yes, this person books me. And I think sometimes people see price and think automatically that price is just profit. But no, there's actually, my systems that I pay for. I'm also thinking about my time now. When a bride books me, I do a consultation, I do a bridal trial. There's also communication before the wedding, usually even closer to the wedding. So who knows how many hours that is before even the actual wedding day. And there's never been a wedding that I've been a part of where something does not happen. I've been the bride's cheerleader. I've been their maid, almost their maid of honor at this point. And I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot more than someone just coming to my salon and just sitting. I do their makeup, talk to them, and they go. You will have to be so involved with the bride. That's their special day. And anything can happen. And you still have to look at yourself and say, yes, I'm doing this person's makeup. But at the end of the day, they're going to look back at their pictures. This is the start of their day. This is how they're going to their energy, how they start and end. If you do their makeup well, it's going to bleed into so much of their time at the wedding, like even before the ceremony. And so I think for me, I take that very important. And so now I think about pricing as what extra time am I putting in? How much am I actually having to pay to even do whether it's sending out contracts, whether it's hiring someone, a VA, to even just make sure that someone is, doing all the admin work for me. And also, how do I now make a package for them? Because I also am someone who's planning my own wedding, and I realize prices are high, but I realize it feels a lot better when you have a package. And so I've been also putting it in a place of like, I'm going to include your travel. You don't have to feel like you have all these things that you see separately. It has the travel, it has the bridal trial. You know exactly what the deposit is. There's a clear pricing and payment plan. So that way you can feel like this is worth it, and also think about how I'm servicing you. So that's what goes into my pricing strategy, as I think a person who's becoming a bride and as someone who is navigating the beauty industry.
That's good. So what would you say is the range for an experienced makeup artist rather than someone that is not as experienced of pricing structure?
So that's a great question. Because I also don't want to base pricing off of just experience, because I do believe that I realized that if you were doing makeup full time, pricing $150 you will not survive.
Wow.
Truthfully, I think maybe I should have brought that up, but I realized that a lot of people do not consider beauty entrepreneurs or makeup artists and their pricing. They complain about the price, but think about it. If someone were to charge $150 per face, and that's what they do daily, maybe their salary is like 70 to 80, maybe even less. And that's not including health insurance, life insurance, because there's no PTO,
right?
There's no benefits. There's nothing. So they have to get all that separately. So I do believe that whether you're, experienced, whether you have 2 years or to however many years, and obviously, yes, as you get more popular, then you can really have like a luxury pricing. But I definitely think minimum has to be like $300, $400, because if you have to calculate, if I were full-time, how would I even sustain this? And I realized even for me, as I moved into a salon, I had to think about, I'm paying, this amount of money in a salon. This is how much I'm paying monthly, not even including overhead fees. How many clients do I need to have on minimum for me to even continue and justify being in the salon? So that's where I started doing makeup classes and, all these things to make this salon experience worth it for me, or else it's not worth it to kind of maybe have maybe 20% profit, right? So I think anyone who is pricing, they have to look at it long term, not just that day, because sometimes I think as a makeup artist, you can say, well, I'm making 1,000 in a day, but you can make it 1,000 in that one day and you don't get anything for the next month or so. So you only made 1,000 for the month. So that's not really a livable wage, you know?
So you think about it when you're pricing as if you were to have a salary, if you had a 9 to 5.
Yes.
So you see that like as an entrepreneur that is applicable, that type of pricing in a different industry?
Yes, like I think anytime you're in entrepreneurship, you have to price in a way that if you had X amount of clients, or maybe like reverse engineer it, you want to make how much in a year, what are your fees and your expenses, and then kind of go backwards from there of like how should you price as if you were full-time. Because I know not everyone starts out full-time in entrepreneurship, but I don't think that means you shouldn't price like a full-time entrepreneur. Yes, because the goal should be to replace your salary, however much you make. So like, let's say something happens, because, you know, the job economy right now is very fluctuating. There's not easy for people to get jobs. So, you know, some people don't really have job security. So I had to think in a way, well, if I lose my job, how much, like how many clients, how should I price so that way I could still compensate and my salary doesn't really go down. You know, so that's how I think how people should think, because it's not, everything is expensive. It's not just car, mortgage, rent, everything. It's not livable if you're only charging in the hundreds, especially for bridal.
So let me ask you this. For people that are now someone that is starting in the beauty industry, that is listening to you and be like, oh my God, I have to charge $300. And they feel like, how do you break the mindset of feeling comfortable charging that price and knowing that the business will come? They don't have to lower the standard in order for them to like really be clear about their pricing.
Trust me. And also because I've been through it too. It's more painful to be broke. That's what I believe. It's more painful. It's less painful. Like, you know, I realized like because I'm someone who literally would bargain my prices. And I remember doing that and I did not feel good. Like I felt like, oh my gosh, my back is hurting, my feet. And I enjoyed the day, but I came out with like nothing on the other side. And so I realized for that mindset switch, you just kind of have to do it. And even when you just do it, that one time you get that client, like it really changes your whole mindset. Because even for me, I just changed my packages and I was, you know, I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was like, am I sure? I'm looking at the other makeup artists that charge around me and maybe don't even have as, I would say I don't have as many years of experience as them. And, you know, I'm like, now I'm getting into comparison. And of course, like you want to compare your market, right? But then I started to realize, well, you know who you are, you know what you offer, and you know that this bride, whoever books you, will enjoy your experience. And someone booked the highest package and I was shocked. And it made me realize, oh, so people will pay. People will pay the price. It does not matter, because not only did I make it a package, but I also can offer other things. And so I think just the first, even failure is okay too, right? Like I've been doing my makeup classes, and when I started out, I did not charge anything. I think it was like $60. I broke even basically at that point. Then I went up to 100, kind of barely scraping the surface after doing because I got the supplies, the rent. And I remember then charging more. And I was so nervous because obviously I think it's easier to fill a chair when you have a lower price. But I'm like, no, I offer a lot more than a lot of people who offer classes. And their usually minimum is like $250. And I'm not going to lie. One of them flopped. And when I mean flopped, this means it wasn't as packed. But people still did it. So at the end of the day, I still went forward with the class. I'm not going to cancel. And even in a general sense, I want to do a master class. It's going to be a high price. Even if I get one person that means one person still believed in me to do it. And even if I don't get anyone, I still put it out there. So I don't have to go back down, right? So I do think of it as a sense of you just have to just keep doing it. And I learned, and I'm constantly navigating that mindset, right? Like I do think it can be very scary, especially when you want to be able to, you want the clientele, but also have faith. Like I think putting in the effort, showing up and navigating. I don't remember who said it, but I feel like ever since then it stuck with me. But this woman, I think it was a wonderful pastor, and she was like, God anoints effort.
He does.
So as long as I'm putting my effort in, something is going to happen. Something will be blessed. And I think that's what keeps me going, because failure also gives you data. So even if I price at this point, yes, failure gives you data. So even if it doesn't work out the first time that I, price something, it doesn't mean it won't work out the second time. Maybe I have to restructure. I remember how scared I was actually to pivot. I think me and you were talking about that, and all the thoughts that were going in my head. But there's nothing wrong with pivoting. Like there's nothing wrong at all. So
you own the narrative.
Exactly. Who cares? If people see you fail online, then they see you fail online. But it's about how you keep getting back up. Like I think now about my year and my months as finishing well. I don't care how I started anymore.
That's good, because that's what matters. You put yourself out there, and then you're on a journey. It's not linear. And then it's made of trials and tribulation. It's also made of lessons that God is teaching you through your business. So you have to be willing to be broken in certain areas that are not going to look pretty. And that's what comes out of those. And it looks like failure, but it's literally a lesson that God is teaching you.
Yes. And entrepreneurship is very spiritual. That's one thing I will say.
It's a lot of people don't understand that. Had they understood that, the concept, they would have been so successful in different areas and use it as for their advantage, because the word is all in the word, and people that are not even in the word use the word to prosper.
That's very true. That's very true.
So I know this is not a platform where we talk business, but I have to preface that because that's another part of who we are. And a lot of people that come on here, they're women, and the women of God. They're like, we have not had a man yet, but the man is coming. But that's basically that's an entrepreneur is not separated from who they are as a person. It's an extension of you, but it's just not two different things. So, and we talk about pricing your makeup. And you mentioned the classes. So what's the difference between getting paid for someone to do their makeup and actually getting paid to teach it?
I mean, what do you mean the difference? Like, what do you mean? Like
the differences in terms of pricing, in terms of like the experience for you, in terms of like financially.
Oh, no one ever asked me this question. So, so I guess let me start. So I would say that the difference for me in terms of teaching and doing, I think you can maximize and scale more in teaching actually. And also I really love teaching. I've realized that after I've done a few of them, this is for me, not like just financially my bread and butter, but even emotionally, that's my joy. There's been days that I've done makeup classes and I've had a really crazy weekend, super tired. And it's like I get in a room full of women, I see them, and it's like my energy is back up again. And I'm an introvert, so that's really big for me to say that. So I realized that the experience, again, that I provide is for women to get together. I think for me, I also love when people can come out knowing something. And I think that's kind of what people receive with me as a friend. You come out of these conversations, you learn something new. So I think the fact that I can teach women and they learn something new, even if I had like people who've came into my class or they've been doing makeup, they learned something new. People who've never done makeup, I've had a lot of people who've came and they said, I've never even picked up a brush. The fact that they can come and feel like I am giving them the steps and it feels very easy, for me, that brings me so much joy, and knowing that they can come out of that with something new. And yeah, pricing, I do think that because it takes a lot more out of me, like a class can be 4 hours, I definitely think I have to price as such, and also the supplies that I provide. And I'm still constantly perfecting this as well, because there's so much I want to provide for my ladies. Like, I want to always do food and drinks and all these things and experiences, but it costs a lot. Like, a minimum of a vendor was like $500. A 250 ticket cannot compensate unless I had my own space, right? So I have to kind of balance those two things and realize that, you know, maybe you may not be able to do everything all at once, but how do I still provide them with the best experience? And also, how do I collaborate with entrepreneurs that are around Rhode Island or even in Boston? So for me, I think I'm still navigating pricing truthfully, but I will say that, like, it's just one of my bigger joys overall. And even when I do one-on-one classes, I still think I can probably charge a little bit higher. I can't remember my price off the top of my head, but because I am just spending more time and I'm walking through, and I do think I have to think about it like this. If this person really just enjoys how they do makeup, they may never be my client. So I need to price in a way that it's like multiple clients, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of how I've been thinking overall, especially if I'm doing like a MUA class. And I remember I had an MUA one-on-one class.
What is MUA for someone that does not know?
Oh, makeup artist. So when I had a makeup artist class, you know, I should price accordingly. And I'm realizing too that I can offer my packages as well. So you can book me for a class and learn the whole makeup training. And you can also get your whole package of like your website already, everything, or even updated. So I'm thinking about how do I want to price now for my classes in general that are more personal. So there's a lot I would say I'm still navigating in that area, but that's where I think I am right now.
Well, that's good to know. We'll transition into a different section right now. And in 2024, roughly 1 in 4 working U.S. adults manage a second source of income alongside a primary job because time's hard right now. You are a Scrum Master by training. You run engineering work with sprints, backlog, and retrospective of vocabulary other operators, business owners may never know. Do you apply Scrum? You'll let us know what that is as well. Or any other structured project management approach to your own business today?
Short answer, yes.
And tell me more.
So Scrum is under a framework. So Agile is the framework. And if I were to really simplify it, it's really a different form of management. I know anyone else could be like, well, it's facilitating. It's another form of management where you are doing quicker iterations. So what that means is you're planning all of the items that you need to get done in 2 weeks. So we say 2-week sprints. And so typically people like to apply an Agile framework to get work done a lot faster versus project management. You know, there's kind of all these stages that you go through when you kind of gather the requirements, then you do your kickoff, and then all these things. It takes a lot longer, that people kind of say. And you can kind of also do a hybrid approach. So for me, I love Agile. I think that even for me, I gave a workshop at NSB with another Scrum Master to talk about how do you optimize your goals by using an Agile framework. So ultimately, if I were to kind of give a quick spark notes on this, was epics are very large chunks of work. So let's say an epic is I would say like at least a quarter. And so let's say you have a long-term goal of, I want to be able to apply to this job and earn X, Y, and Z in salary. Then you break it down of features. So features for us are like 1 to 2 months. And so under that, what is the bigger chunks of work that I need? So I need to optimize my resume. Under optimizing your resume, which is the feature, you need to find a coach, meet with somebody. You need to kind of revise and do these edits, see what these jobs require. And those are where we call user stories, which are smaller increments that you can do within 2 weeks. And so for me in business, if I want to optimize my goals, then I would think about, well, what do I want to do every quarter? What's my focus, and what's the amount of work that I need to get done? So I think are we in Q2, Q3?
We're in Q2.
We're ending Q2 right now. So for me, it has been a lot about like my systems. And so a lot of my tasks have been focused on like, I need to train somebody. What SOPs do I need to establish? So I kind of break it out in that way. And also even there's been so many fluctuations. I feel like life in corporate is too different. And so when things change, which I would say is scope creep in like actual work, I have to be able to readjust. And so I think I'm still continuously navigating that. I do think of my corporate work as a place for me to learn how an actual Fortune 500 company runs. But I try to apply whatever I learned there into my business. And so one of the major things to me is like, I want to come out of here with one established thing that I can teach a person and onboard them. So that way, as I'm moving through, I'm building a successful team down the line.
That is beautiful. I want to know more about Agile and that concept, because I feel like a lot of people talk about project management and optimizing your goals. I think that's very important. That is a skill that even if you were not to be an engineer, that you need to learn about that. Because we as entrepreneurs have so much, and more so a small business owner that does not have a team. You are managing a lot. You are the operator. You are the CEO. You are the everything.
That's what I'm trying to get out of.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I feel like that concept of Agile really makes you think about how do I optimize it? So if you were to come into you thinking about, we're in Q2, you just said that you're working on optimizing your systems. Walk us through like how someone would even begin to optimizing their system.
That's a great question. I feel like I'm still, the first question I ask myself is, what is even a system? Truthfully.
That's true.
It could mean anything to anybody, but I learn about what is a repeatable process.
Correct.
Thank you. See, this is why people need to go to you. So, and also sometimes I try not to get too much on myself, because not only do I focus about a repeatable process, but like, what is my lowest, like even if I have a bad day, what's the minimum that I can do no matter what I'm going through? And so I think about it in a general sense, like Mondays and Fridays. I'm going into life and business, but Mondays and
That's
Fridays.
Fine. Give it all.
Okay, perfect. Mondays and Fridays, me and my husband, we go to the gym together. I think Tuesdays we pray, especially in the morning together. And it's not always perfect, but at least like, even if it's, maybe want to hit X amount of minutes or hours and stuff like that, but maybe we sleep in a little late, we could still get to that goal. And then also the way that we structured it, and I can't remember everything off the top of my head, that's why I write everything down. So
that's fine.
But I would say that we've set aside days for us and the goals that we want to work together, and the days that we want to work on our own individual businesses. So I always know that, I think at least, I know it's every Wednesdays for me, and I think some 2 other days that I focus on my business, and these other days we focus on, when do we want to meet, what do we want to talk through about like our personal goals, and then also like how often, how many times I want to go to the gym in a week, right? Like something like, what's my minimum that I can hit no matter what? So if I never go to the gym 3 times a week, I will never fail on a Tuesday. I always go to the gym on a Tuesday, and now I started to realize like, what I feel like didn't work for me before is that I set super high expectations, because I'm always in high expectation. And when I fail, I would stop. And I would never, it's like almost like it would take me forever to get back up. So I started thinking about a system as like, we want it to be repeatable, but you also want it to be something that even if you may have a terrible week, what's the minimum that you can do to keep going? And I feel like it's kind of created like a very guilt-free environment for me, that I feel like I've been more consistent, because I know that I'm going to at least hit something, and that makes you just feel good. Like you can check off a box. Now in business, that one I'm still always working on, because I'm continuously developing tools that I want to use. I'm still developing the workflows. So I wouldn't say that I have like my exact system there, but I'm thinking about, what are the steps that I always do when I start like a website? And obviously every website's different. So I have to kind of like formalize it. And also like, what are the options that I want to provide? How does it look? And also, as I've been in the place of like training somebody, what are the key steps that they need to know? What are the prompts that I always use for like my content? And those are the things that I'm constantly building up as like the assets for my like VA, for her to know, like, if you don't know anything, here's a repeatable process that to kind of like, you don't need me to review your work in this sense. So I think I'm still navigating that, but I think of my system right now in terms of life. And hopefully by the end of this quarter, I am going to be like, yes, I have a solid foundation in terms of business as well.
That's good. Well, thank you. I hope that now one entrepreneur listening to me is going to look into Agile and then try to optimize their goal and then try to do that in a
2 weeks.
2 weeks
you
time frame.
You could do 1 week if you want to be really intense.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about like, what do I want to do this week? Like, I think another thing is like every Sunday or Monday, we typically look at what do we want to do this week. That's and it's pretty much it. Like, you plan out your weeks, and you say what is your minimum. So if I were to say Agile 2 is like, the goal is 80% of our like velocity, which means like the work that we committed versus the work that we didn't. Want to commit to at least 80% of what we said we wanted to do. And sometimes for you to commit to 80% of what you want to do, you might have to choose, like, when you're starting out, like, what is the lowest effort thing you can do? And then build on it. Don't start super intense. Like, that's one thing I feel like I've always made a mistake of, is that I am so intense.
Me too.
Yeah, and then it's like you crash, right? So how do you build capacity? So I feel like I've been in training right now to build capacity, praying, but also applying it, and also learning how to let the steps build on itself.
That's beautiful. Well said. Whether one is already in place or the next thing you build already, like, let me say that again. Whether one is already in place or it is the next thing you would build, walk us through it. What would running your own business on a structured project management system actually look like in practice?
I think in running a business in a project management standpoint is, you always have to know, I think about it like, first, what do you want? What's your outcome? So you always think about, like, when you're thinking about project management, there's always a business outcome. You don't do anything that doesn't bring the company money, right? So even when I'm meeting with like stakeholders, what are your requirements? What is the first like minimal viable product that you actually want out of this? And what are the problem or pain points that you're trying to solve, or that you want to be solved when they come for requests? So I think about it with business. It's like, what are some pain points that you're noticing in this world? What would require those pain points to be solved? And what is the first, like, easiest thing that you can do and start as a first phase? And then to get to that first phase, once you find it, is what are the steps to even get there, and start breaking it down. And essentially a project plan is like walking through that. You're creating these milestones. So, for me in a business, is maybe milestone 1 is actually legalizing, getting getting your entities right, getting, setting it up, learning what it even looks like, learning what it looks like to have like the right write-offs, setting up your business accounts, setting up your business, you're getting business credit cards, and all of that is as a process in its own. And let's say like phase 2 is, okay, I have this business and now it's set up properly. Now, how do I run it? And I think that's where I feel like Agile is a little bit better than project management, because sometimes you do everything all at once, right? And so I think about it in breaking down like or reverse engineering your problem in a way that you can continuously in a way that you can continuously have a step to do. Because I think sometimes what I realized in my first initial time of doing business is that I got really stuck because I didn't really know what I was solving, or I didn't know my passion. So I would think too that not only think about what you're trying to solve for the world, but think about who you are as a person. Like, I had to take some time away actually before I even went back and pivoted back into makeup and say, what are my skills? What are my weaknesses? What are the things that I'm very passionate about? So to the point of like, what do I hate? Like, I hate when someone is like, lacking in their potential, or I hate seeing people just stuck in their mindset. And those are the things that kind of help you to learn about who you are as a person and how you want to show up in business. And also your weak points could be something that you think about. What do I need to do? What trainings, what learnings do I need to go after to actually now start to build on my weaknesses? And I think that's kind of how you build a project plan or build a business plan. And even when you think about a business plan, you think about your 5-year, your 10-year goals. So I think about it, if I was someone who was starting over, I would kind of do a hybrid approach. Think about my milestones, and set the LLC, set everything up. But then how do I get clear on what I want to do? Like how much I'm trying to make in 10 years? How much am I trying to make in 5 years? Then who am I as a person? What's my core story? Because also your story is your business, right? Like, I think a lot of times people see me as this, maybe, I wouldn't say perfect, but I would say people see me as like this super high achiever, but no one realizes like I went through a lot. Like I am truly not what I've gone through. So how do I also anchor in my story to help people understand that you can get out of anything that you go through? You can focus on your mental, and that helps you kind of draft like, here's what I want to do. And I put it in a binder. So you know how it says make the vision, write it, like make it plain and write it down, everything. I literally this year I did a vision binder because I cannot do just a vision board. I have so many dreams and wants. So my vision binder literally contains, here are my core pillars, because after I take that time, like I remember just sitting down with the Lord, like who do you see me as? Like, what did you create me to be? And like, what are some things that I need to improve, and what are the goals and the wants? And I literally have like a process map. Like, this is where I am now. These are the goals that I have. This is how what I do now can feed into that. And this is going to be part of one of my end goals. And it's going to be evolved. Like, that's why it's a binder, so I could swap out pages. But I think I feel like there's no perfect way to kind of, I would say, map out your business unless you really sit down and learn who you are first, and as like you're the business stakeholder, and then you can start to draft out what phases. And I think of my quarters as my milestones. So and again, my year, or I don't think about the end of the year, I think about how do I finish the month well, and I finish my quarter well. So I guess I would say I don't know, I say my project planning or Agile is like a hybrid situation.
Well, I totally see how it is hybrid, because you need the side of project management to really take it slower and grasp like the foundation.
Yes.
And you also need Agile to speed it up and to get to the goals that you need to faster.
Yes, exactly. Like that's literally what it is. I feel like I could not formalize it fully in words, but that's how I do it. It's like, yes, you have these milestones, but then within them, how do you get through it quicker?
That's good. Well, that's what we do here for Build Your Own for my clients. Like, I never even I always knew that like it's a process, because a lot of people that they come to me, they will not have the business name. They will not understand who they even are. Sometimes I have to reel them back. I said, wait, hold on. We are not going to register this. We're not even going to talk business plan. We're not going to lay the foundation, even the legal foundation, like for your registering your LLC, doing your EIN, doing your paperwork, your operating agreement and all that, to be able to work on the business plan. Because the business plan, that's when I spend time with my clients, because I want you to understand who you are. I want you to know who you serve. I want you to really be clear about that. So when they ask you to introduce yourself, you know how to introduce yourself. Because one of the hardest things for an entrepreneur is an elevator pitch. They do not know how to say everything that they do under 60 seconds and who they are, because you have not taken the time.
I'm still struggling in that, honestly. So yeah, that's true. Like, I feel like I had to take that moment to slow down and reevaluate.
You have to reevaluate. And then this is where that's where you have someone like me as a strategist to help you see that, because sometimes it's overwhelming. You don't know where to start, because everything is on the internet right now. If you have AI, you can do it all. But do you have someone that has a vision to even see, okay, this is where I see the Lord taking you, and to really bring that all together and then walk you through that journey? Because I tell them, like with my client, we are going on a journey. Yes, you're paying me to set that up, a foundational work for you, but it doesn't usually take like 4 times that I see you. Sometimes I meet with them weekly because the needs are different. And that's part of the project management plan to get them from point A to point B. And we have milestones that they need to hit in order for their business to go. And then once you get to a point where financially they're good, it's not, okay, now how can we make this faster? And I feel like you sitting down here made me realize that I was out applying these 2 different principles, not even knowing, and not even having the language for it.
This is why they need you, because I'm sure you got it down pat. Because even for me, I'm like, I'm always figuring that out. Like, I literally had to take that time to just reevaluate who I am before I even went and said, like, and even just started to go again, because I was so angry. Like, it was like, you know, when people say,
I remember you at that event.
Yes. I literally was like, you know, when people say writer's block, I had creative block. I literally had no ideas flowing through my mind. Like, that was the most insane moment of my life, because I always have ideas, like, to the point it's overwhelming. So to get to a place where I have nothing, like, I'm stuck, that was the worst time of my life.
I remember you said, I'm angry right now. And I said, wait, she's very honest. I need to know who this is. And then afterward, I was like, wait, I need to connect with this girl. Because your honesty, that's really what got you answers that you needed. It's probably how you went to the Lord, and then he allowed you to have those answers. So, which is good.
He records all my tears in his book.
That's good. It needs that. And then that's where the breakthrough comes in.
Right.
Because you're not just one person, and you said that. You do makeup. You also, and you're an engineer. You do those project management. You do Agile. You're a Scrum Master. And now you also do branding. We did not talk about that. So presenting a brand consistently across every platform can raise revenue as much as 23%. Yet most businesses with brand guidelines never actually enforce them. According to a source of the State of Brand Consistency, you consult with other women with their beauty business. Branding is one of the areas where they come to you for. When a beauty business comes to you for branding help, well, maybe other businesses too, what is the first thing that you look at?
That's a great question, because I would say that I've had different ones, but the first thing I look at, well, I actually ask them, like, where's their mindset at first? Because I also think you can have the most perfect or pitch perfect branding strategy or even look, but then also how you exude confidence online or show up is a whole different thing. And I realized that sometimes the people who may be the most successful aren't even just about like, oh, the prettiest aesthetics. It's, are they genuine? Can they connect with the audience? And do they know themselves? And do they people want to book people that literally, that they want to almost be like. So I think about that first. And then I also think about because it's not just about the colors, right? Like, it's like, what do you want to portray? What is your story? And then how do you want it to feel to people? Because some people, I feel like luxury is thrown out there all the time, and it could mean various things. And it's like, not everything may feel luxury, and not everyone has to say, I want to be a luxury X, Y, and Z, right? Because then you're also kind of creating a really high standard. It's like, do you want your brand to be do you want people to feel really connected? Do you want a homey vibe? Depending on what your business is, right? How would you want people to describe it? And then we can work from, maybe color theory, and because there's also, people associate a color with a certain feeling and emotion. And based off of that, then we can think about, how does that correlate to your colors? But I would say for me, most of my, I would say where I would find the more success, because I do think that there's a lot of people who are very talented in market strategy, and I am not there yet. And I think I would hire people for that. I actually wish that I did a minor in sales and marketing, because that's a really important skill of entrepreneurship. But I think for me, where I take that from what a client tells me, and then when we get into a day of branding in terms of their content, one, I do the makeup, so they already look good, they feel good, and I get them to start posing exactly how they want to portray themselves. And then for me, I'm someone who, again, is very creative, so I think about the design work. It's based off of what you tell me, then when I'm designing your website or anything like that, that's going to be what I like feed off of. And no one really comes to me with like an exact concept. I'm just producing the concept. Exactly. Like I produce the concept based off of what you tell me. So I feel like for me, it's like once I know exactly what you want to do and maybe the core functions and everything, I can be able to kind of pick up from there. So that's kind of how I look at it. I do think branding can be many different pillars and people have many different ways that they do it. But for me, it's always been about, you know, I've even helped people pick out outfits. Like I've done mood boards based off of their favorite colors. And because also when you wear your favorite color or the brand color, you start to feel a lot more confident. But sometimes we don't know what looks good on them. So to me, it's always about like, how can a woman feel good, walk in, be confident, take content like that, and just show up as their true self? Because that's the only way, like, I feel like people can sense it honestly online.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I was awkward, they felt the awkwardness and it showed. And the moment I started being confident and be like, you know what? I will talk and say what I have to say. And a lot more people started listening. They like what you exude, like no matter what, because I do branding as well for the studio and for entrepreneur because that's my niche. When I know what they do for their business, and then versus like when we come to the photo shoot, it always gets awkward because their mindset is not where it needs to be. And they are not like the level of work that you're putting into the marketing for them is not what the level of where their mindset is at. So it needs to match in order for that to create magic, because they are the one that is going to be the vehicle to push that forward. Because once you leave after branding them, that's it. They now have to embody that brand.
That's very true. Yeah, mindset's the main thing. I feel like it is so hard. You have to conquer it honestly. I'm like, there's so many things I would love to learn, but I don't know if my brain can hold in, because, you know, your brain is very neuroplastic. So you can really train your brain to think what it wants to think. So I feel like people need to like hone in on that, what you're saying of mindset can do a lot of magic or it can break you down. So
it definitely can. I just feel like as an entrepreneur, we come here, we have to build your own podcast. Businesses come in. Imagine someone that has been a faithful subscriber here, watching all these episodes, but the mind is not there yet. You cannot go further. You have the knowledge, but you're blocked. And it is something that has come to that is so simple, but yet so powerful for you to train your mind to really do the work that you need to do and to see your brand like other people see you or like God sees you.
Exactly.
So yeah, well, we are going to transition into a different aspect of it, and that's one of my favorite parts. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you even more. A visitor's form at first impression of a website in about 50 milliseconds, and mostly of that judgment is made on design before they ever even read a single word. People are very visual. You build a website for beauty businesses using AI tools that most founders have not opened because it's in uncharted territory. Do you have a defined AI build stack you reach for when you build a beauty website? Or walk me through as an engineer with an engineering mind and also agile project management and branding and beauty. How do you combine all that to use AI to build a website?
I think, oh my gosh, AI is so fun, but there's always so much to learn. I'm still learning. My current, I would say, combinations right now, Claude is my best friend. I even call him Jean-Claude because
me too.
He's done my wedding planning, and I'm like, oh, I need Haitian food in there. He gave me all the types of food, but nonetheless, Claude helps me prompt better because prompting is its own thing. I really focus on divining what my AI is to me. So, you know, I'm like, whether you're a brand strategist, you're this is how much money you're planning to make. And this is what I'm trying to build. I try to get very specific. Here's the things, leave out the fluff. I don't need all of that. Like, because I don't know if anyone has used Copilot, but Copilot will put all of the long information in there. And I always like to tell my AI not to hallucinate in things that I did not say, because it can add a lot of information, because of course you're training, you have to train your AI. So I use Claude to prompt, but I also use Lovable. Lovable helps me build out websites. And it seems really easy at first. I'm like, oh yeah, you can build a website in like 15 minutes. But for you to kind of start to do the testing, which is where I'm like, okay, if you think about the Agile framework, you know, you got to have a user acceptance testing in there. I feel like AI takes tokens, right? So naturally, if you don't know how to prompt and you don't know exactly the things that you want to do, you will kind of bleed through that and you'd actually spend a lot more money. So I think for me, I've learned, how do I prompt and exactly give all the requirements so it can build all of the functionality quicker, and try not to think about, try not to miss too much. So I realized that it actually can take a longer process as I'm like continuously navigating. So those are my main two. I am checking out other different like websites, because there's so many, like there's Framer that can also make websites and stuff like that. But another thing is like you also have to account for security. You also have to account for like user accessibility, especially for people maybe who have disabilities and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that go into a website that I think is not just about design, but really like the functionality of it. And so that's what I think about. And I also tend to make sure that whenever a client comes to me, they have the option where I can host their website, or and I build an admin database for them, or they can connect it to other tools, whether they want to connect it to like their Google or Forms or whatever. I used to use GoHighLevel in general, which I think isn't a bad tool, because you can kind of have all in one, like your CRMs, and you could build AI agents. But obviously for someone who's starting out, maybe paying $97 a month is not what you want to do, right? So I'm still constantly figuring out how to combine everything all in one, and still kind of cut down my overhead fees, because I was using GoHighLevel plus I have Acuity. Like it was a lot that I was paying per month, not including my AI tools. And then I also been playing around with Claude Code and Zapier, which are AI agents that you can prompt that, let's say, for example, I establish a workflow in my website that someone does an inquiry, it goes into my website. Now I can use Zapier that is an AI agent that can take that inquiry and connects it. But Claude Code can also access your Gmails and make
It does.
So I feel like AI is constantly evolving, that maybe the tools that I once used in the beginning, I can simplify. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on right now, simplifying. And then one of the things that I'm going to start looking into is, Higgs field for like AI videos and, and 11 labs, like all these things. But I wouldn't say that I have a fully built out stack yet, because that's, I think, again, I have phases, right? Like I know who I am. So if I put my hands in everything, I will never master something. So I need to focus, finish one, and then I'll move over to the next level of training. But AI moves quickly, so you have to learn quickly. So
it moves so quickly. It's very humbling as someone that does website for businesses. I used to be on Squarespace, and on Wix, not that I knew how to code. This was not my forte, but if you want a basic website, I could do that for you. But when you told me about Lovable, I said, you know what, let me try. I love to learn. So I said, I built my previous website. I said, let's start over. I'm rebranding anyways. Let me try to go learn it. And you talk about the token. It started taking so much money because I did not understand how to properly prompt it, what's necessary, first of all, to do so. And then I had the whole build out. I built the infrastructure for the website, and there was so much more behind it that I did not know. So for someone like you that is building that website, there are certain criteria. What is the first 3 things when you're building a website with AI, according to your prompt that you must put in?
I think one, well, it could also be for every different business, but what do you want in your website? So like some people want like a lead generation, but then where do you want that to go, right? Like how do you, like we need to establish that workflow first so that way it could be prompted, because you do that later, it takes a lot more of your tokens. I think about, okay, how do you want your website to feel? Like, how do you want people to navigate through that? So then I can establish like, what should the design be? How many pages? Because if you just let it do whatever, it will unfortunately create a very long website page and it will have the tabs at the top, but then it's not separate. It's
not really.
So you have to establish what are your separate pages that you want. Do you want like a chat bot? What do you want that to look like? If you, again, want to kind of do the back end stuff, like, again, what I'm saying, combining, what do you want to control? Like, do you want to control your leads? Do you want to track your leads? You know, these are the things that I feel like I have to focus on first, because then I have to think about, people will say, well, I just want to track leads and I just want a CRM tool and I just want this, but they don't realize how much more goes into that. So now that I know, it's like, okay, well, if you were to do this, how do you want your client to feel? Do you want like a follow-up message after 2 hours? Do you want it 24 hours? Like, I think I combine what I learned in GoHighLevel to realize like, okay, now I know that there's more of this back end stuff. So let's establish that first. So that way I'm building a more efficient website. And now the main thing I'm fixing is like maybe minor updates. And, you know, I'm also I need to be quicker. Like, I don't need to be spending 3 weeks on a website, you know? So that's kind of what
Which is usually what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to. I mean, and I want to train people to be able to take like a week or so in a website and fully build out everything. So that's the thing. Like, that's now that I know that all the back end work, I try to implement it first. And also I also use the plan feature as well. Like, the planning doesn't take as much, and you can literally ask it questions before it builds out and starts to use all of that energy. So that's another thing too, is like, you know, asking Claude I like to ask Claude first, then I ask Lovable of like, what's possible and what can I do? So you really have to, like, I don't think people realize that, yes, AI is quick and it's fast, but unless you know how to prompt, you're going to be spending a lot of time fixing a lot of bugs. So, and I don't want a lot of bugs. So, and I also ask it to test itself too.
I always do that. Even like on Claude, I said to like, my prompt is always ending, and I add it to my memory as it knows to train, fact check and assess every single thing that you give me, and then give it a rating and be a harsh critic. And remove all flops, because I don't need that. Like, it will tell you, and then oftentimes he'll come back, and then you also, whenever it gives you an answer, you cannot take it for what it is. You also have to challenge it. I challenge it on a daily, and then it apologizes because it was wrong.
Yeah, and the more you do that, the more it learns you as well. So
like, I think like this is beautiful. I love it in the conversation. And I'm going to ask you one more question in terms of that, because I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to understand. You talked about high level, you talk about CRM. Tell the people what CRM are and high level, and what does that mean for a business, and how do you utilize that?
Since I don't use GoHighLevel right now, I know I can't, but I'll speak on it when I did use it. I mean, CRM is like customer relationship management, like system pretty much. And I mean, people use that in corporate too when you're a salesperson. Right. So there could be so many different platforms. But GoHighLevel is good because it's kind of your all-in-one platform where you can be able to generate funnels, which funnels are like kind of like these like ad pages. You know, most people should know, like, when you see an ad, you click on it and it tells you, oh, you can get this 3-day workshop or free thing. And that's a funnel, and they're just creating a lead out of you. So that's what it's good for. You know, you could do websites through that. I don't recommend it because it's a lot of work, but I also think it's good because you can, when I say workflows, it's like those steps of when you get a lead, you email them, then you wait a couple of days, you set those things up, or you hire someone to set those things up as well. And what was the other question? Sorry.
So, and how do they utilize
how to use, yeah. So I think
it doesn't have to be high level. Any funnel like that you've used or currently using that you feel like that is very useful, that someone could learn for their business, no matter which industry they're in, whether they're in beauty, because sales translate in any industry.
Yeah, I think sales, I really wish people taught us like the right sales technique. Like I don't know who's out there, but if you know you're in sales, stick in sales, because you have to be able to know how to sell to people. Because it's not even just about like the
Right.
I can tell you about like, okay, yes, as an entrepreneur, you need a funnel, you need to run ads, and you need to run it in this time, or and even then that's its own science that I would not say that I am perfect at, but it's good to also have, because then you can generate your leads. But then how do you make leads go from cold to warm, right? Like, how do you need to follow up with them? So it's not just about the email. Like, what if you have a call and you just check, like, I saw that you booked this. Are you ready to move forward? How do you know that? How do you make your warm leads go to hot leads? Like, what are the things that you say? Because people always have pushback as well. And so how do you kind of navigate that pushback and tell them and make sure that they know that what they're trying to sign up for, what they were curious about, is a no-brainer without bringing down your price, right? Like,
Right.
that's another thing, because people can outsell you and make you negotiate your price down when it's like, no, they clearly had an interest. So how do you massage that interest, right? Like, I feel like there's more for me to learn in that space that I think that down the line I could be like, yeah, I'll be an expert at.
I'm bringing an expert like about that, like this
Yeah,
week.
I'll be watching that one,
Yeah.
because that is in its own realm and its own science. And I literally see how these coaches will get on a call with a group of people who signed up. And you also have to understand that, like, when you have leads, your conversion rate is maybe like 1% to 2%, maybe 5%. You're like amazing, but you also have to be okay with that lower percentage rate. And I see them, and then they're like so high energy. They're very interactive. And so, like, it's really a psychology thing, honestly. So I do think funnels are very important. I think no matter what industry that you're in, because it allows you to run ads and collect the leads and build up the email list. I think even when I went on bridal shows, they give you a whole email list. Like, now, what do I say to brides who came to the show, who maybe didn't even come by my booth? So that way I can start to get them in. And that's kind of why I generated my website, because a lot of people like price transparency, especially in the wedding industry. There's not enough of that. So I'm like, wait, if brides are tired of not knowing prices, let me just put my prices, like and it's a minimum. It's not saying that you're set to this, right? Like, it's you, but at least you see it and you could choose to go with me or not. But imagine how much time I'm wasting if I don't put my price on there and someone doesn't know and they think they can you book me for $200.
That's true.
So I'm starting to realize, like, how do I also cut out as much? So when I'm going through these shows, they see they click on it, they see the price. You can choose to move with me or not. Just know it's not coming down. So I think about all the things that I say. I think about what makes sense, and also, like, what do brides want to see, especially because that's kind of what I'm catering to. But there's so much I feel like I can't touch on in this segment.
That's good. You don't have to touch it all, because you touch enough for someone to start thinking about it and to understand the importance of it. So do you use funnels right now? Do you or email lists for your beauty business?
Now that I've reset like my whole website, I'm gonna transfer my emails to like that website, so that way I can start to create like my newsletters, or even like say like, book with me or anything like that. But I am gonna start running funnels again. I did have one set up where like I vibe coded like this bride can just input like pretty much like, your skin type. You can input your wedding date, and it would generate this whole list of skin prep and recommendations basically give you a bridal checklist before your wedding day. And it also leads them into booking, like, book with me, or,
Interesting.
Yeah. So those are the things that I think about. Like, I like my funnels to be interactive, and I am thinking down the line of like, when I want to do cohorts and stuff like that for like, beauty entrepreneurs, what would that look like? And I think right now I'm in the stage of collecting the data. I am in the stage of analyzing what works. I'm learning about Google Analytics as well before I start going on there and saying I'm going to teach people how to do X, Y, and Z. I need results right now. So I think that's the stage that I'm in. But I have it set up, but I ran it like beforehand without even my website. So now I want it to lead into my website as well. So
that's beautiful. And is that what you call vibe coding?
Yeah, vibe coding is like pretty much you're prompting and it creates the code. So, because I do not know how to code. I am not a coder. I wish I did computer science as my minor instead of business management, in marketing and sales, but I didn't know.
How many
I
like-
wish. I wish. Okay, if I were to prioritize, I wish maybe computer science or sales.
You know what? That's important.
Yeah, exactly. Because coding is so cool. It's I find the most interest in it. So as I'm like vibe coding, I'm like, okay, like what's in here? So I kind of go in the back end, and I think maybe in my work too makes me feel like it's really cool because you can do so much if you know how to code. So those are the two important skills. But vibe coding is like, yeah, I'm just prompting and telling you what I needed to do. And then I can go in, because I know a little bit, I can go in and edit exactly what I want.
Well, that's amazing. I thank you so much for elaborating so much and giving the entrepreneurs so much to digest on. And this episode went around like we didn't name the pillars, but that's fine. And I'll name the last one, which is strategy, because like you've already established so many different things in your business. You like on the legal end, building business credit, and then understanding funnels, sales, and how to operate it, to have, like you even mentioned, your VAs, to have systems to really allow them to be trained and do the job without you being there, because like you have used like your project management, agile. I'm just saying all that you said so far. And I think like we're right along to strategy pillar. Like the beauty and personal care market is projected to pass $1.1 trillion by 2024. That's a lot of money. Growth, the large reward the businesses that know exactly what they are and what they refuse to be. And you said that so beautifully. You position as a luxury bridal brand in a market where every artist has an Instagram and has a price list. What is the move that lets a beauty business change a premium price in a market that has already been crowded? That is already crowded, I would say.
I think one, the experience. That's very important. I think that you cannot kind of title yourself as just anything if you don't provide the experience. When you think luxury, what do you think, right? Like you think comfortable, you think nice, you think, like I can relax. So, what experience are you offering the people that you're servicing? And then also, I think you can charge a premium price if you have premium systems. Like, if you're just saying you have an Acuity website, you don't really need, you only have that's like $20 a month. Like you don't really need to, but I think as you start to build a team, as I think you start to like start using more, I think you should also have your price accommodate for maybe even you going into a salon, right? Like a salon in a sense is luxury to me personally. Everyone can think differently, because a salon gives you already these amenities. Like the salon I'm in, like there's drinks, I offer my clients the snacks and everything. They come, it's already a certain aesthetic.
I need
like
to come there.
Yes, it's private. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much that I feel like that kind of involves in that space already, that you being in a salon versus home base is different too. And you have to account that for fees. If you're paying, I think an average is like $250 a week that someone pays to be in a salon.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, shout out to mine is I do not pay $250 a week, but imagine you're paying like basically $1,000 to be somewhere. You need to charge the pricing for that. So I do think about it as experience and what are you paying for? That contributes to that as well.
So much, Yrvanie. Our conversation has been so enlightening. And as a young professional that is also a business owner, I feel like you have multiple businesses. Though you said that's it's under beauty, you own multiple brands under that. Like you're more so like the beauty business person that is the holding company, and then you have like branding, you have different things that you do, and then it's very cool because those skills are needed. You need to learn how you need to know how to sell. You need to learn how to price. You also need to learn how to put the structure. And we can definitely collaborate in the future. And for me, sending you those clients for Build Your Own that have to build their website, because that's something I feel like sometimes you have to understand in your business where you operate best. Like you said, what you're willing to do and what you're no longer willing to do. Like for me, I feel like I operate best as a strategist and really helping you with the foundational work, and also just really helping you find yourself in business. And that talks about, sometimes you have to be a therapist. Sometimes you have to be so many wear different hats, but because you know what hats you wear and how you want your time to be allocated in a business, you can really scale, and collaboration matters. So for someone like you that is already talking about that, I don't have to go try to figure out Lovable. I don't have to go try to figure out vibe coding. Like that's something I will learn for myself. But as another entrepreneur that is also kind of in similar field, you can learn to collaborate and send those clients, and then you'll go faster because the work will be beautiful. People will be satisfied, and then both brands elevate because it's been the deliverable were fast, and then it was satisfactory.
That's very true. Packages, things people can do all in one. People like convenience at the end of the day.
Exactly. You can be one-stop shop. And even if you have a contract that clearly outlines okay, this is from your business, this is what goes into it, that's fine. But it's really something that people need to start doing more as businesses so they can operate in their areas of genius, rather than being I wear many hats and I do many things and I don't do many things well, unless God tells you to, that's different. And he tells you, stay here, learn the skill. And even if you mess up, stay there. But other than that, you have to do that. Well, it's been such a pleasure. It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much. I know that you said you probably didn't have that much to say, but look at you now into the conversation that we even stopping. I had more questions, but we have to get going. And that's a testament to what you have to offer. So leave us with something that you would like. Usually I end the episode and I give my audience homework, an actionable item that they can do this week. So I'll leave you the honors today to let them know what they can do today for their business this week. That is going to be their homework to think about.
That's a great thing, honestly. There was 2 things in my head. So I'm one homework? I don't know.
Maybe you can give 2.
Okay.
If people want more, that's fine. If you just want to do one, do one. If you want to do it all, do it, because she got strategy. She has results.
I do think that as an entrepreneur, if you haven't done your discovery exercise about who you are, because also people change. So even if you did it a year or 2 ago, just redo it. Think about your strengths, your weaknesses, the things that you feel like you want to learn, what are you really passionate about, and let that kind of drive you into the next task, which is what is the easiest thing that you can do this week in terms of maybe creating your system where it works because you can do it even at 10% of your capacity. Think about that, because the more that you are able to hit that goal every week, the more likely you are to start building. So
let me know what's next for you and how do we stay connected with you.
What's next? I will continuously be building, and you can find me on Instagram at YSJVisage, so YSJVISAGE, or YSJoseph_. If you can't find that, eventually the YS Joseph is because I'll eventually change to YS Lynch _. And yeah, you can find me also on LinkedIn at, Yrvanie Lynch. And yeah, I think that's it pretty much. So find me on my socials, and my website is also ysjvisage.com.
Thank you. And thank you for coming to Build Your Own Podcast. Remember, the foundation is your responsibility. Structure before strategy. Always. See you next episode. Bye.